So I want to talk about the importance of your CPA designation. I was watching Blake Oliver over on the Accounting Podcast, which I recommend to you, and he was talking about how some private equity firms that have bought public accounting firms are now telling their CPAs that they can't use their CPA designation in the signatures on their emails, and that they even need to remove CPA from their LinkedIn profiles. I don't know about you, but I think that's crazy. So, you've got somebody that's worked a long time, gone to college, passed the CPA exam, they're CPA, and now you have owners. And some of these private equity people, I don't think they really fully understand public accounting, but they sometimes now own public accounting firms, and apparently, at least in one instance that Blake talked about, they're telling their CPAs not to say they are CPAs. So, you know, I wanted to hop on and just talk about this for a minute because I'm a CPA. I've been a CPA since the 1980s. And I think that designation, certified public accountant, is critical not only for my success over the years, but more importantly, for our own economy. Now, you may wonder why, Charles, why are you saying this? How does the CPA designation affect the economy? Well, let me share a story. So, about 25 years ago, I had worked with a guy. He was an accountant. He worked in a public accounting firm with me, but he was not a CPA. We'll call this guy Al. So Al leaves the firm I was with. He goes out on his own, and I find out later on he's telling the people in the community that he's a CPA, and he wasn't. He was even auditing banks and had actually issued audit opinions as a CPA for 2 or 3 years, saying he was a CPA. Now think about this. If you're an investor in that bank, you've got this audit opinion from somebody that falsely says they're a CPA, then chances are, and since I work with this guy, I know he didn't really know much about auditing. So chances are the work he did in relation to those audits was extremely deficient. And so if I'm an investor in that bank, I'm relying on that opinion that says the numbers are fairly stated by an independent CPA, even though he wasn't a CPA. So if those numbers are wrong and I'm investing money in that bank, I may think the numbers are correct and they're not. And so then it impacts my own personal wealth, and because I've relied on this audit opinion that should never have been rendered. So is it important that CPAs, that we have CPAs here in the United States and in other countries as well? Is it important that we have the CPA designation? Obviously, I think yes. What's the difference? Well, the difference is people that don't really know how to do audits, they don't have the knowledge to do a test work, and yet sometimes we find they're out there doing this when the state boards of accountancy would say you can't do that. So Let me also address, before I leave, the importance of becoming a CPA if you're a young person. So, back in the 80s, I finished grad school. I was not married at the time. I thought I've got the time to prepare to take CPA exam. I'm going to go ahead and do that. I had hoped one day I'd get married and have children, and thankfully I was able to do that. But I knew as a single person, I'd have more time to prepare for the CPA exam and then take it. So I prepared for the exam. I took it more than once. It's a hard exam. I spent several hundred hours studying and preparing for that exam. So if you're young and you've gone through college, you've gotten a degree in accounting, consider going ahead now when you're young and you got more time to prepare and take CPA exam and get that behind you. Um, Now, why would you want to do that? Well, I would say your income potential as a CPA versus a non CPA can be 2 to 4 times higher over your career, and sometimes more than that. So, if you're looking to be in accounting, if you love it like I do, go ahead and tackle that CPA exam, and then you'll have that feather in your cap. You'll be able to make more money in the future. So, in summary, what have I said today? One, I think it's kind of nutty that some CPA firm owners are telling their CPAs not to call themselves CPAs. So we could talk more about that. I won't. And then I also talked about the example of a guy that I knew that pretended to be a CPA and was issuing audit opinions that he should not have rendered, and the potential adverse impact on our own economies if we don't have people that are truly CPAs and independent and rendering proper audit opinions, how that can affect investors and ultimately even the consumer. And then lastly, we talked about, hey, if you're young and you're thinking about becoming a CPA, go for it now. You'll have more time, especially if you're not married and you have no children. You'll have more time now than you ever will. So go ahead and think about getting that done. I think you'll be very glad you did. Now, I've been a CPA since 1987, and now I can look back on that decision to become a CPA, and I can tell you it was well worth the effort that I put into it in my 20s. So let me encourage you, if you're young, to go ahead and go after this. I have little doubt you'll be glad that you did so. So hope you have a good day. Until we meet again, take care and bye now.